Hi friends, welcome back on our YouTube channel. This is the first lecture of quantum mechanics in which today we will discuss about introduction of quantum mechanics. In the current lecture, we will discuss about introduction of quantum mechanics, limitations of classical mechanics and Planck's quantum theory. So first of all, introduction of quantum mechanics, and in this section of lecture we will discuss about blackbody spectrum. So introduction of quantum mechanics. Newton's law of mechanics are based on the elementary idea of physics or classical mechanics. This mechanics is applicable only on macroscopic particles. It is not applicable on microscopic particles like electrons, etc. The basic principle used in classical mechanics are Lagrange's equations, Hamilton's equations, etc. These equations we have discussed in our classical mechanics section. Classical physics also contain electromagnetism, thermodynamics, and statistical mechanics. Interference, diffraction, and polarization of light can be explained by wave nature of light, photoelectric effect, Compton effect, etc. cannot be explained by this theory, means by the wave nature of light. These phenomena can be explained by a new mechanics called quantum mechanics or Planck's quantum theory. Now, blackbody spectrum, an object which completely absorbs the radiations falling on it, whatever be the wavelength, is known as blackbody. It means a body which absorbs completely radiations falling on it is actually blackbody. The wavelength of radiations falling on the body can be of any value, but it absorbs whole radiations falling on it. No body absorbs 100% radiations falling on it. Lamp black, carbon black, platinum black absorbs 90 to 95% radiations falling on them. So these bodies can be considered as a black body. If a black body be placed in an isothermal enclosure, then the body will emit the full radiations of the enclosure after it in thermal equilibrium with the enclosure. The heat radiations in an isothermal enclosure are actually blackbody radiations. Since these radiations are coming from a cavity and hence they are also known as cavity resonator. Now, distribution of energy in spectrum. The investigation was carried by Lumer and Pringsheim. This is the experimental arrangement which was used by Lumer and Pringsheim. Here we have blackbody chamber. S1 is a slit, M1 is a mirror, M2 is also a mirror, and ABC is a rock salt crystal. S2 is also a slit, and here we have a bolometer. Here S1 and S2 are slits, M1 and M2 are mirrors, and ABC is a rock salt or fluorspar prism which is placed on a turntable. S1 is placed at the focus of M1 so that the rays after reflection from the mirror become parallel. So S1 is placed at the focus of M1 so that after reflection from this mirror the rays become parallel. So these rays after reflection become parallel and the parallel rays falls on the rock salt crystal or fluorspar prism. The reflected ray of M1 falls on prism ABC and this prism can be rotated because it is placed on a rotating turntable. So the radiations which falls on this crystal reflected from this prism at different parts of the prism. Since ABC is placed on a turntable of a spectrometer, so it can be rotated. The emerging ray from ABC falls on the concave mirror M2 and finally enters into the bolometer. So these rays after refraction from this prism or the emergent ray of this prism falls on the concave mirror M2 and finally the rays enters into the bolometer after reflection from this mirror. Bolometer is connected to a sensitive galvanometer and hence the radiations enter into the bolometer gives a deflection in galvanometer. The turntable is rotated slowly so that the different parts of the radiations falls on bolometer. The body is heated at different temperature and the curve obtained between wavelength lambda and energy E lambda is found to be according to this diagram. It is clear from this figure that as the temperature increases, the wavelength corresponding to which energy become maximum shifted to lower wavelength side. So conclusion, this was our diagram. The energy is not uniformly distributed. So it is clear from this diagram that the energy is not uniformly distributed. The total energy emitted by a black body increases rapidly with absolute temperature as E lambda is directly proportional to fourth power of absolute temperature, that is E lambda is directly proportional to T raised to 4. Here capital T is the temperature on absolute scale. At a given temperature, the intensity of radiations increases with increase in wavelength lambda and become maximum at a particular wavelength and again start to decrease. So it is clear from this energy spectrum that at a given temperature, the value of E lambda increases with lambda, reaches to a maximum value and then starts to decrease with the increase in lambda. The wavelength corresponding to maximum E lambda, that is lambda m, decreases with T as lambda m is inversely proportional to T. So the wavelength corresponding to which the energy become maximum decreases with rise in temperature. So this is the curve at temperature 1000 Kelvin, this is at 1500 Kelvin, and this is at 2000 Kelvin. So it is clear from these three curves that with the rise in temperature, the wavelength corresponding to which E lambda become maximum shifted to lower wavelength side. Now, laws related to blackbody spectrum. First one is Stephen's law. According to this law, the rate of emission of radiant energy by unit area of a perfectly black body is directly proportional to the fourth power of its absolute temperature. It means E is directly proportional to T raised to 4, and if we eliminate this proportionality sign, then we get a constant and equal to sign. So E equal to sigma T raised to 4. Here sigma is a constant which is known as Stephen's constant, and its value is 5.672 into 10 raised to power minus 8 watt per meter square into Kelvin raised to 4. Now, next one is Wien's displacement law. According to this law, the product of the wavelength corresponding to the maximum energy, that is lambda m, and the absolute temperature is always constant. So lambda m into T equal to constant, or lambda m is inversely proportional to T, or lambda m into T equal to B. Here B is a constant. This constant is known as Wien's constant. So B is known as Wien's constant, and its value is 2.88 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter Kelvin. Now, limitations of classical theory. Now, first one is Wien's displacement law. Experimentally, it is found that the amount of energy density contained in the spectral region from lambda to lambda plus d lambda emitted by a black body at any temperature is u lambda d lambda is equal to a upon lambda raised to 5 into function of lambda t d lambda. So this is a function of wavelength and temperature, or u lambda d lambda is equal to a into lambda raised to minus 5 function of lambda and t d lambda. Here a is a constant. Now if we draw a curve between lambda and u lambda, then the curve is found to be this one. So this is experimental curve, this is curve according to Wien's law, and this is the curve according to Rayleigh-Jean's law. Now it is clear from figure that Wien's formula agree with the experimental value at shorter wavelength and did not fit well at higher wavelength. So it is clear from this diagram that this is the curve according to Wien's formula, and this curve fit well with the experimental curve at shorter wavelength, and as the value of lambda increases, the deviation of this curve become higher and higher from the experimental curve. Now, next one is Rayleigh-Jean's law. By using the law of equipartition of energy, Rayleigh-Jean established a formula which is known as Rayleigh-Jean's law, and according to this formula, u lambda d lambda is equal to 8 pi kt upon lambda raised to 4 d lambda, and this was our curve. Rayleigh-Jean's formula was found to agree with experimental curve at longer wavelength and fails at shorter wavelength. So this is the curve according to Rayleigh-Jean's law, and this is our experimental curve. So it is clear from this figure that the Rayleigh-Jean's curve follow the experimental curve at higher wavelength, and it fails to agree with the experimental curve at shorter wavelength. The total energy at any temperature is integration 0 to infinity 8 pi kt upon lambda raised to 4 d lambda is equal to infinity, and it is against the Stephen's law. So these explain the limitations of classical theory. Now, next one is Planck's quantum theory. So Planck's quantum theory, Max Planck assumed that the atoms of the walls of the cavity radiator behaves as oscillators. These oscillators emit electromagnetic radiations into the cavity. At the same time, it also absorbs the radiations falling on it and maintains an equilibrium. And in this theory, he assumed that an oscillator can have only discrete energies, not continuous, and the energy is equal to nh nu. Here n is integral number, whereas nu is the frequency of emitted radiations. During transition from one energy level to another, an electron can absorb or emit radiation in the form of quanta or photon of energy h nu. So delta E is equal to delta n into h nu. Here delta n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now, Planck's radiation formula. So on the basis of Planck's quantum theory, he established a formula known as Planck's radiation formula. According to this formula, the energy density of radiation in the frequency range nu and nu plus d nu is u nu d nu is equal to 8 pi nu square upon c cube h nu divided by exponential h nu by kt minus 1 d nu, or in terms of wavelength u lambda d lambda is equal to 8 pi hc upon lambda raised to 5 1 upon exponential hc upon lambda kt minus 1 d lambda, because c equal to nu lambda, so nu equal to c by lambda. So if we substitute nu equal to c by lambda and d nu equal to minus c by lambda square d lambda, we get this formula in terms of wavelength. It means the formula in terms of wavelength is this one. Now, when lambda is very small, so exponential hc upon lambda kt will be very much greater than 1, and this was Planck's radiation formula. So if exponential hc upon lambda kt is very much greater than 1, then this will be exponential hc upon lambda kt. So u lambda d lambda is equal to 8 pi hc upon lambda raised to 5 exponential minus hc upon lambda kt d lambda. And if 8 pi h is equal to a, because h is Planck's constant, c velocity of light, and pi is also a constant, so 8 pi hc is a constant, and this constant is replaced by a, and exponential minus hc upon lambda kt is a function of lambda and t, so this will be replaced by function of lambda t, and therefore u lambda d lambda equal to a upon lambda raised to 5 function of lambda and t d lambda. And this is Wien's law. It means Planck's radiation formula at lower wavelength agrees with Wien's law, or at shorter wavelength Planck's radiation formula converted into Wien's law. Thus, at shorter wavelength, Planck's radiation formula follow the Wien's law. So, when lambda is very large, so exponential hc upon lambda kt will be equal to 1 plus hc upon lambda kt, and here we neglect the higher order term because lambda is very large, so higher order term of lambda will be negligible. So exponential hc upon lambda kt will be nearly equal to 1 plus hc upon lambda kt, and u lambda d lambda is equal to 8 pi hc upon lambda raised to 5 1 upon exponential hc upon lambda kt minus 1 d lambda. This is actually our Planck's radiation formula. So we replace exponential hc upon lambda kt minus 1 by hc upon lambda kt. So u lambda d lambda is equal to 8 pi kt upon lambda raised to 4 d lambda. And this is Rayleigh-Jean's law. It means at higher wavelength side, the Planck's radiation formula follow the Rayleigh-Jean's law. Thus, at higher wavelength, Planck's radiation formula follow the Rayleigh-Jean's law. So here we end our session. In the current session, we have discussed about introduction of quantum mechanics, in which we discuss about classical theory, limitations of classical theory, and Planck's quantum theory. So goodbye.